Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Under Construction. I am your host, Ellis, otherwise known as Trainman, and right here we're looking at an ATLS crossing. I think I did some of this on the show, at least part of it, maybe all of it. I'm going to move these out a little bit, because they're a little bit too close, but we are having issues with these, so I don't quite understand how to do everything here, as you might figure. I did find a tutorial, but this is not going to be our focus for today. Today, we are going to lay down the law, sort of, in some other places, that being Mason Valley. Again, ignore the copious amount of signals that are on this stretch. It's me playing with stuff to get things to run right, and there's a balance that you have to have between having too many signals that they look ridiculous, and having enough signals that the trains actually run the way they ought to. So, that's kind of loud. So yeah. Anyway, first things first, I want to give a shout out to Evan and his endeavors in creating us some cool stuff. I only have the Gilson Eastern ones downloaded right now, but we do have Gilson Eastern 080s. This is 5 of the class of 10. Not that he made all of them, because that would just fill up a list. But, yeah, here you go. Here's your Gilson Eastern 080s. These are on the download station. You can download them right now if you want. They are awesome. Anyway. Yeah, today, right, I'm trying to abstain from all the spreadsheetness. But one of the things that we do have to do, we have to finish up the track arrangement around here. And we have to... This area, I'm not going to touch. It's bad. I'll just leave it as it is. This area I do have to work on. We have this drawbridge here. We have this drawbridge here. One of these trolleys has been moved down and programmed, so we have 2 programmed trolleys now, although they don't work properly. And then we have this. We have all these industries in here. All of these need multiple industries. And, yeah. But the thing that I want to do right now is actually do some buildings. So, one of the things that we do need, this is way too tight, but you get my drift with what I'm going for here, is a warehouse and some other sort of road-based industrial buildings around here, because there's going to be more residential stuff over here. We also need some commercial buildings, and all sorts of other stuff. Again, we need to populate this town. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time, oh god, what are these? I'm going to spend a little bit of time, putting in, I don't know what those are, don't need to know. Putting in stuff, sorry. And, yeah, we'll just go from there. A little bit of time putting in stuff, and then a little bit more time just sort of going from there. I'm going to put a little, almost like a fort thing over here. Maybe in, thinking about West Point. If you guys know, West Point is a point on the Hudson River. It's not just a military school, it's named after the location that it is, and it is on the west side of a piece, or a part on the Hudson River called World's End. And it's because it's particularly narrow, and there's a very sharp S-bend in the river. So, yeah. These sort of things, they exist. And that's one of my thoughts for this area. I'm gonna put this over here. I don't think we need Old West stuff. This place is old, but it's not that old. One of the things we do need is some smaller brick buildings down here. Especially along Main Street here. And I think I know this place. This is from Troy. I think I know this building. Anyway. Used to be Bomber's Burrito Bar, maybe, and now it's the, what do they call that place? The Beer Garden? I've been in there once. Anyway, here's a fire station. It's a different one than the other one we have, so, you know, that's good. I'll put it here off the main road. Old locomotive? What? This is not a locomotive. Let's see. So this building is designed to have a smaller building butted up against it, at least to some extent. But I think I'm going to put this like that. Old Montreal. These are maybe a little bit too big. Old Mining Exchange. Old Los Angeles. Old St. Louis. Sure. I think I'm going to put this like this, and then we'll fill in the extra gap with some more sidewalk. Old restaurant. These are the sorts of buildings that you need that are good for you when you're building this kind of route. I think all these are usable. I'm fairly certain they are, at least. Old Sacramento. Oh yeah, I've been to that place. I recognize those. Silverton Depot, Old Town Albuquerque Way. Again, a little bit too western for what I need, but overall not bad, and I think I'll put it on this corner here. Western apartment block. I think those are too big. Older type storefronts. Okay. The thing with this area is that they have to be curved, and these definitely aren't. So, if I turn these around and put them maybe down here, it'll be appropriate. One of the things that I always say, and I'm just going to parrot it again now, is to always look into the real world for examples of what you're trying to build. And there are plenty of times where I've looked at stuff in the real world and said, well, that's unrealistic. If I saw that in trains, I would dismiss it as, redo that, that's terrible. I'd dock you points for it. But that's really, truth is stranger than fiction, and I know that's been, I know that's something that's so easily said, but it is true to an extent. So if you're making something that's a little ridiculous, it's probably okay, It might not be that far out of line. So, think about that when you're working on stuff, don't hit yourself too hard over something. It has to be exactly a certain way. It has to not look the slightest bit unrealistic or yada yada yada. It is what it is. One of the good examples of this is actually very present in my mind because there are people working on making new ones. Is the logos for under construction are not? Yeah. Well, yeah. The logos for Tolbrin though, and the oh, this actually does come with. Interesting. Look at this. I wanted to use this somewhere. I like how it has a thing. Alright, I might still use that yet. Anyway. Payday loans. We gotta put this in the ghetto, not here. But over here. Sorry, I got distracted. So the new Shoreham Tramway logo, you see it pop up at the beginning of the video, is totally overcomplicated. It is a line drawing of a streetcar and a line drawing of a sailing ship mashed together to make this weird, conglomerate, ugly thing. And I call it ugly. It's really not. I think it's beautiful and I love it and I love the way it came out and I'm never going to let it go. But it is absurd, is what it is. It's not a normal or reasonable logo, really, for a railroad to have. And so Chris is making me a new one, and he told me about what he's thinking, and I think it's pretty cool. But, I'm still going to try to use, that one whenever possible, or not whenever possible, but at least on a few things. Wherever there's room for it. It's a fairly large you know, because it's a detailed logo, it needs to be blown up in order for you to be able to see the detail, and yada yada. You know, it's not... Oh, TARDIS. It's not anything that's going to be shrunk down and put on the side of everything, and, you know, whatever. But this is cool. You gotta put this somewhere. Yeah, put it over here. Actually, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Can I slide this in here? Ooh, just barely. I like it. Oh, wait a minute. This has a like a loading dock in the back for... Ah, whatever. You could bring a track up to here even. But... whatever, I think it's fine the way it is. Yep. Ignore the fact that it's crooked compared to the other thing. We have some block towers, shelters, pedestrian overpasses. We could definitely use some of those somewhere. We've got a bunch of pubs, because of course we need a bunch of pubs. PW Brewery Building? No. This hotel. Grain silo. We got some Quonset huts. I can probably use those. That's not how you spell Quonset, for the record. We've got these guys, a roundhouse, us Queen's Motel again. Oh, this is cool. Let me put this somewhere. Back here. Away from all this stuff. Railroad Cafe. How about here, across from the thing? This is actually an area where you would see plenty of commercial development that's sprung up, because you're right across from the mill. Especially restaurants, you would see a million restaurants over here. And the kind of obvious reasoning is, well, you have all these people that are going to be getting off for lunch. Yeah, we don't need the rental video shop. We don't need the Dolores Depot, probably. We've got a cul-de-sac, if we ever want to use that. Roundabout, okay. Road signs. Oh, thanks. Okay, we're getting to the word road. I don't necessarily need that. How about a Rolls-Royce Phantom? No. Ooh. Is that what I think it is? Yes, it is. Where'd it go? I thought I just placed it. Where'd it go? I'm not looking at it. Oh, I was looking at it from the side. It was invisible. It's Mr. Game & Watch over here. I should use this somewhere. Didn't even realize that was an asset. That was something that I could use. Oh my god, look at all those. Okay, we've got some McMansions. We're not going to have room for those. RUS House Old. See, I don't really want to use the RUS stuff because some of that isn't available on the DLS. So, how about some S-Town buildings? Whitewash. Vacant stores. It's My Hometown by Bruce Springsteen. Now let's do this. Let's try this way. Yeah, a lot of these places. This is the kind of road where you're going to end up with parallel parking on it after the trolley goes. All these safe trans signals? No. We're not using safe trans. We got some barrels. We got a meat packing plant. That doesn't really fit here, though. Seafood factory, we're using that. Textile factory, we're using that. Coal lorry. There's all the rolling lift bridges. Oh my god, look at them all. School Assembly Hall. That does not look like an assembly hall to me. Okay, Scotland flag. Let's put that somewhere. Security building. What is that securing, anyway? Okay, so this is going to be one of these where I'm scrolling through the list and looking for things. If something jumps out at me, I'm already using that. If something jumps out at me, then so be it. But I do have a couple of questions and comments this time around. Let's see, shop block? I think this is British. Yeah, it is. Look at the roof on that thing. Of course it's British. Also, you know, shop block. They're called stores in America. That said, shopping plaza. These are actually pretty cool. I can make a strip mall somewhere, but that's a little bit after this time. Put this over here. I have used this before, but not a big deal right now. Let's see, what else have we got? Shotgun house. We got shrubs. We have... these are all signs. Okay, we've got some signal boxes. That's a huge signal box. Okay. These are all signs, of course. I can use that right now, but, you know. Sleeping mallard. That's the engine. Soccer field, we've used that. Water sound, we have plenty of that. What are you? Holy cow, I have to use that somewhere, but definitely not here. Sports class, spruce trees. Some footbridge, we got some St. Louis stuff. Vincent's Market. Let's set this back a little bit so that we have room for... oh. Maybe we won't use Vincent's Market. Oh, these have the same texture on all sides, don't they? Yeah, how about no? So... Stagnaro building. It's the Cannon Company. Starview Motel. No, I might put this on the outskirts of town, if I have room for it. I do. Except this road's on an incline, so it's not going to play nice. So, never mind. I get past all the stations. Steel industry, yeah, we will be using those at some point. But not here. Stockholm bus shelters, stones, storage buildings. A lot of those are just too... well, they're the wrong era. Storefronts. Alright, I think we have enough commercial development here. It's time to move on to other things. Can't make that too close because of the wires. Although... if we need more commercial stuff in there, we'll put more commercial stuff in there. And I'm pretty sure we will, because we should probably have that whole area filled up with that. This is not the kind of place where there's a lot of residents, necessarily. A lot of people commute in, because compared to the number of homes, the number of jobs is sky high. But I keep just finding markets and stuff. So... we're just going to keep putting down markets, I guess. Well, this is a supermarket. I'm not sure necessarily where I would put this. Also, it doesn't look really super to me, but maybe that's just me. There's a loading dock back there. Yeah, no, this is not a supermarket. This is a regular friggin' market. What a lie. What a bamboozle. Supermarket. Okay. So the thing is, a lot of things are closer together than the way that I've been building them. Just in general. Like, if we go to... I don't want the tenement houses. I just want some regular houses. Let's just go to house. That's not it. The boiler works. Okay, I don't know how the alphabet works. I was scrolling down out of habit. These are cool little buildings. We might use them later. House block. Those are not houses. Okay, so we have all these houses, right? And some of them are decent sizes. Some of them are a little bit smaller than that. Like this Sears bungalow, for example. Kind of small, very simple house. If we have... not those. Those are beach houses. We have houses like this. These are much more modern houses. They'd probably take the place of another existing house. But we want them to be like that close together. This is not an area where you've got room to spare. This is not Olive. This is, you're ramming these houses up next to one another so that you can fit as many people in here as possible. It's still a low density residential, everyone has their own house, but there's basically going to be barely enough room for your house, a driveway, and a fence. You know, there's not going to be a whole lot of yard. If there is, it's just going to be backyard. So, with that in mind, we need to start putting these houses in. Now, the thing that I like these houses a lot, but the thing I don't like about them is the fact that they've got those whatchamacallits? The tanks in the back. They don't make a whole lot of sense. Not here, at least. But, you know, don't want to be a choosing beggar. We just have to build our town. And that's just, you know, that's just what we have to deal with. Okay, so there's a lot of different ones to do. Here's one. We just have to sort of put them here. We need to push them together. We need to make sure there isn't a lot of extra room. We need to make sure that the basically that the spacing is proper for what this area is, which is industrial suburbia, basically. It's the people that live very close to the mills. And the things that I should be putting in here are a lot of like 2 and 3 family houses. None of these things with the long driveways. Things like this, perhaps, although this has a large porch, so it wouldn't necessarily be that realistic. But either way, we only have so many houses to choose from. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for, is houses that are hypothetically multifamily. They don't have a large footprint on the sort of width. They can be tall front to back, but they cannot be they can't be wide. And we may have to space these out a little bit more because of things like the driveways, but this is what this space here is for. When we start putting in driveways, it'll be a little bit different. This is one to put in. Actually, I'm going to put in this closer to the main road. Just kind of think that'd be over here. Maybe I should look up some Victorian houses, some three-family homes, that sort of thing. That, like I said, that's what would be here primarily. And so I'm filling these streets up with houses, but they aren't necessarily the most representative. Either way, if they're filled up with houses, they're filled up with something. You know, that's what really matters. That we don't have an empty space. People aren't necessarily going to critique the style of house that's present, but if there's clearly something missing, that's when people are going to notice. So we'll leave that space open a little bit. Time for this one. For the most part, these are all in the DLS. If they aren't, I have to go back and get them back, or replace them. Hopefully most of them are. I'm trying to not put stuff on here that isn't on the download station. The DES stuff in general is, if something looks far too good, then it probably isn't on the download station. That's sort of just the way it goes. Okay, let's not put two of this house across the street from one another. That might make a little bit of sense. Let's put this one down here on the corner. You know, and you have to think about, okay, how frequently are each one of these houses going to appear? And like I said, things are a lot tighter here, and because of that, we're under a little bit more pressure than Olive to make sure things are varied and interesting. Because with Olive, you had a lot of space. And so you wouldn't, you know, there was less chance of you putting the same house side by side. The same, yeah. Or the same two houses very close to one another. Or whatever. Hold on. Hold on 1 minute. Thinking. Sorry, 1 moment, please. And then we'll start on a comment real quick. I think I just got a call from Madison because she wanted to trade controllers. She was using her Xbox, she had a controller that wouldn't sync. So, you know, whatever. Anyway, I said that once, I have to say it again. Sync. You guys know how I run things. Okay, let's do a question. That's Skype. That's not YouTube. Here's YouTube. Aha! Highball Productions is at the top of the list for some reason. Oh, because it's the most recent one. That's how things go. Highball Productions asked, when will we see Tolbrand in TS 2019? That's actually a great question, and one that I've been meaning to answer on the show, one that I've been meaning to bring up, because I've sort of tossed it around in my head a lot. I don't want to upgrade yet, and it's not because I'm afraid of 2019. I'm actually quite excited for 2019. I know that 2019, you know, has a lot of good things going for it, you know, performance upgrades and what have you. The thing that puts me off right now is the fact that I'll be leaving Tolbrand on... The last version of Tolbrand in Tane will therefore be old. And it'll be incomplete. The thing that I care about right now is getting enough stuff done in Tane so that I can release version 0.3 and say, okay, that's, you know, that's good. We're, you know, now I can move on. Now this area works and it does as much as it's ever going to do, and that's that. So that's what I care about right now. I don't have an estimate on when that's going to be. I would like to get... I did set out my roadmap for what I would like to have finished this year, although I don't know how realistic that is or was. We're halfway through, or not halfway through, we're a quarter of the way through, oh, exactly, February now, and we are still working very intently on this area, and the end is really not anywhere in sight. So it's, I can hope and pray all I want that we're going to get enough done in order to move on to move on from this into the next area this year, or in a reasonable portion of this year, I suppose. But I don't know. So, when is a good question, but the thing that I know is the fact that it will be when we get this section done. And that means done. It means textured, and the industry's work, and the track's all in, which the track's all in, pretty much, at this point. But all that's wrapped up in a nice little bow, and we're all set. So, tell me these are not, or tell me these are on the DLS. These are really good for what I'm doing. I think I'm going to line them all up right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your company housing, ladies and gentlemen. They're all a little bit different, which I think is nice. I was concerned that they were all going to be the same with, well, I kind of expected them to be the same with different colors. Oh, wait. There. Why am I stupid? But anyway. And I can use these all I want. So we have all these for company employees. So we'll put this one in. And then maybe one more white one if we can squeeze it in. And these are not places... Remember, this is the 1950s. Having a driveway is not as imperative as it is today. These guys don't have driveways. And more importantly, there's nowhere to park a car anyway. These people do not have a car. They don't have cars in general, more than likely. You can use public transportation to get places. You don't need one. But, it's the 1950s. America is infatuated with the automobile. These are the kind of houses that are not very desirable because people would have to park their cars somewhere else. I would push those right up against one another if it made sense. But they've got windows, so... Oh well. Okay, so... Yeah, that answers that question. Tristan's channel asks, what did you think about this year's Super Bowl? And the Carbon area looks great. Let's just take it in for a minute. It looks good. Milky pointed out that I forgot to do the wires. I'll get to them. I'm not looking forward to it by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not looking forward to doing this area in wires. But hey, such is life. Anyway, thank you for the compliment. I'm actually quite happy with the way it came out as well. So, I thought that was Boulder the place and not... Never mind. So, I don't even know what the hell this is. Getting rid of that. Bowstring girder bridge. No, that's part of a thing. Crap. Also, somebody recommended me a trolley, and I don't remember what it was. If anybody remembers what it was, I would appreciate that, because I kind of want to find it and use it. Somebody mentioned about PCC cars, and I can't remember. I cannot remember. I'm kicking myself about this, guys. I'm kicking myself. Anyway. I wanted that trolley. That's right. So, Tristan said, what did you think of the Super Bowl? And, okay. So, as a layman, I think it was boring. But, I'm not really a layman. That's just sort of the public sentiment. Everyone seems to think it was boring because it wasn't a shootout between two amazing quarterbacks and the score wasn't in the top 50s. So, I'm not the biggest football fan. I am a football fan. But I will say that, I am devoted to the Patriots. They're my team. You can hate me all you want, but, you know, sucks to suck everybody else. Tom Brady has more Super Bowl appearances than any other team has appearances, and he has more Super Bowl victories than any other team except for the Steelers. So, you know, suck it. Anyway, I was incredibly tense the entire game, especially towards the beginning, because the thing with the low-scoring games is that anything can turn the tide at a moment's notice with no warning. You know, one muffed kick, you know, bad punt or good punt return, depending on whose team you're rooting for, or one pick six or interception even, anything can change the game. They can shift the momentum, because the moment somebody scores, they're winning. And the game was so close for most of the game that I was on the edge of my seat. I was even shaking a little bit at one point, because being a Patriots fan and having followed the Patriots all the way into the Super Bowl, I was definitely thinking, well, the things that everyone else had been saying had certainly gotten to me. I was definitely, in a way, thinking, wow, we really don't deserve to be here. Our team is not playing as well as it has in previous years. I wasn't thinking, oh, they're garbage. But I was recognizing the fact that we were not at our best. You know, other years had been better. We were still really good. Obviously, we won the Super Bowl. But we were still very good. And yet, I knew that we weren't necessarily up to the challenge, or we might not have been. And that part concerned me. So, going, anything can happen. We're not winning right away. You know, we're not scoring immediately. We're not winning right away. This could be bad, because that means if the Rams' offense starts to move, and I know that our defense has been historically rough this year, if the Rams start to move that ball, then we're in trouble. The moment they get it into that end zone, we're done for. I'm not sure if, the Patriots play really well when they're down, but I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to come back from something, from being down a certain amount, being down even one full score. So, yeah, I was thinking about that a lot. The Rams being the Rams and being pretty damn good, they made it to the Super Bowl, of course they're good, had me concerned. And that was that. And I was consistently impressed by the defenses. That was a game of defenses. And that's sort of what I have to come around to. And that's, I'm sure, what people recognize, because it was a very low-scoring game. It wasn't because the offenses were terrible. It was because the defenses were good. And I was amazed that the Patriots' defense held up as well as it did. Hold on, we have to do something. Alright, me pick a number 1 to 15. I pick 12. Alright, let's go over here. So we drive on the right here. This is America. Let's go over here. Perhaps. This is actually a good place to do it. Let's put one sort of here. I'm gonna try to put them close enough together that you can read them. But the other thing is, I'm trying to put this somewhere where you will notice it from the train, but you aren't able to actually read them. Free, a trip to Mars. Or free, a trip to Mars. For 900... Oh, I know this one. For 900 empty jars, I think. Yep, there it is. For 900 empty jars. That was their promotional use Burmashave, win a free trip to Mars. Obviously, though, you weren't getting a trip to Mars, but, and then Burmashave final sign should be around here somewhere. I think it's up at the top. Burmashave end sign. Yeah, there we go. Burmashave. Okay, there we go. I needed to put them down somewhere. I haven't put down a set since Olive. Anyway, and I'm not even sure if that set's intact. I might have deleted some of them by accident while copy-pasting trees. And I will regret that for the rest of my life. So, oh, Chris is asking, what are the other colors of the New Shoreham Tramway? No specific colors because they run lines all different colors. They're a transit company after all. I like it though that flag is not a Jolly Roger. Anyway. Oh, this is weirdly oriented. Look at this. Look at this. Let's see. Can I push this back a little bit and make it not look ridiculous? I just wanna draw the curb line out a little bit. Well, that didn't help, but oh well. Okay. What's next? Oh yeah, we were just placing houses. Yeah, we've got some houses. We've got a pretty dense area full of houses now, and I like where this is going. So the other thing is, we've got all these. We'll use those later. Now, I need to say this now because I'm going to forget it sometime in the future, and maybe somebody will remember it years down the line and remind me. Somebody mentioned Pac-Man when I was talking about Gilson City, and I realized that maybe I could actually slip in the road network, or slip into the road network of Gilson City Pac-Man somewhere, and have a trolley car barn in the middle because it's where the ghosts come out, and then you have the different colors of ghosts, which are the different colors of PCC car. I don't know. That's something I want to do. It could be really fun. It could be dumb and entertaining. This is the other thing. So we're going to have blocks of brick houses and then blocks of not brick houses, because the houses are not actually next to one another in the menu. Where are we now? We're 43 minutes in, though. Did I have to, yeah. So to answer the silly question, right? Or not silly question. To answer the football question, because I could go on about that game for a while, but to answer it, I really enjoyed it, and go Pats. I am, I'm looking forward to next season, seeing who stays, who goes, what happens. I don't get that attached to, well, as much. I am more of a casual observer than a lot of people, but I do follow the sport, and I do follow the team, so I'm not that casual. So I'm somewhere in the middle, I would think. At any rate, yeah, so I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a very good game. I thought it was nice in that it was unexpected. We expected a shootout where the offense just drives to the end zone and throws it in, and drives to the end zone and throws it in, drives to the end zone, throws it in. And I'm kind of glad we didn't get that. Not just because of the subversion of expectations, but because it meant that there wasn't a blowout, and there wasn't a crazy game. Because even a heavily offensive game can be really boring. Because it's, they got the ball, they're gonna, how are they gonna get into the field and go to the end zone? If the defense is doing nothing, it's boring. because you know, okay, they're gonna go score now, and then the other people are gonna get it back. They're gonna go score now, and yada yada yada. You know, the only thing that matters is in the red zone. When you have a game that's spending the vast majority of its time outside of the red zone, everything else matters. Everything matters. You know, there was only one red zone play in that entire game, and by the red zone, for those who are not particularly football literate, it's the last 20 yards before the end zone is the red zone. This won't fit here. And there was only one play in the red zone for the entire game for either team. And it was, you know, it was the Patriots before they got the touchdown. So, it really was something else. It really was a different game than we were expecting. And I think it was good. Anyway. And also I did see the... never mind, I'm not going to go on about that. Anyway, Iser. He says, so in those smallish towns you should put in some trailer parks. Right. I know it'll be a good way to add some fill to a town if you don't know what to put down in that area. So you could put in a small Y if it'll fit for the trolley depot. I don't think I'm going to be fitting a Y in here. Just because. The only one I could fit in is right here, and while I could make it, that's a hell of a grade. And I feel like it's unnecessary. The thing that I could add, if I had one, would be a little trolley turntable. I could add it off of here. That would be a fun thing to have. What about the smallest turntable is? What's the smallest turntable I have? Turntable. It's probably you. That is small. Hand-operated turntable. Also rather small. Turntable with pit. That's actually very cool. Turntable, Teesside turntable, Skagway roundhouse and turntable, New South Wales turntable. No, so, it doesn't look like I have a tram turntable here. Holy cow. That's something to use somewhere. But if I had one, I would put it here. I would just curve this a little bit, and I would put it right here. And it would be just one of these little, like you see for the streetcars, just like a disc, you know? Anyway. The thing with all these houses, they have different colored roofs. That's something that gets me about this. Normal houses aren't like that. Anyway. Yeah, a trailer park is a thought. I'm not sure I would put one out here because land is so coveted, but I'm not sure if trailer parks fit the era. That's the other thing that crosses my mind. So, if I can figure that one out, if I can resolve that, you know, I don't know, again, I don't know how far back that goes. It strikes me as a more modern thing, but I might be totally off base with that. If somebody wants to sort of fact check that, I'll be happy to listen to whatever you come up with, or read it out loud on the show, just like I'm doing now. The commenting is not exclusive to these people. Anyone can do it, and I will read it out loud and address the comment on the show. So, right. That's an ugly house. Now I'm just scrolling through all these different houses. I'm just trying to find one that I like to put in here. This could be a two-family house. The part in the PR route comment that I messed up somehow, I was trying to say that from one city to the other, it's all single track. There are times where it'll be double track because of depots and stations in towns along the route. I could set up an AI train from Cape Charles to, say, Dover, Delaware, or even in the yard in Wellington, Delaware, since you love AI so much. I do love AI. So I will do some AI running on the PRR route. To clear things up, the only thing that may be payware is any reskins I do for the route like locos. Anything else will be free, but again, I won't charge a whole lot for reskins. Either they'll be like K&L's prices, aka reasonable. Yeah, not like Journey Rail. Also, I understand you have rules for getting on the podcast, and I completely respect them. I appreciate that. When it becomes released, you can use it for Sunday driving, and of course, be used for making content on your channel too. So would you be willing to do beta testing on model scale layouts too that I make, plus any sessions I make for them too? Absolutely. I would love to beta test them. I would maybe even stream that, and I'll do reviews on them if you'd like me to as well. I'd be more than happy to. So, you know, just to think about, hey, okay, this is this, and it looks like this, and I think of this, and blah, blah, blah. This is what I think you can improve on, this is what I think you did well on. You know, I try to be as thorough as I can on those there route reviews, because they are a special sort of thing for me. I want to keep people coming back, and I want to make sure people are happy with that. Also, this is the back of the house, isn't it? No, it's not. Sears bungalows. Always got to be a couple Sears bungalows in the lineup. Kind of wish you could rotate it around a point of your choosing. Simple house. At some point I'm going to stop doing this and go do something else for a little while, particularly installing multiple industries and doing some brainstorming. But this is going to be our project for a little while, is getting all these houses in, because we do have to fill out this area, and this area with buildings. So, yeah. And we'll probably use more of these as well, at some point. So, let me stop this for a second then, because let's see where we are in terms of time. We're at 51 minutes. Let me take a drink of water. We're at 51 minutes. Or 52 minutes now. Well, that went by quick. And we have quite a bit to do, right? So one of the things that needs to be done is setting up this area here. This area is our textile mill. And this is kind of a big deal. This was the original industry that I was thinking about for this area. And the fact of the matter is, this is the one that I have left to figure out. Or one of the ones that I have left to figure out. The first thing is going to be this, because this is where those sheep are going. Those goddamn sheep. And that's part of what goes into the textile mill, is wool from these sheep. And I know it is kind of, outlandish that you'd be bringing in enough from one source to run this giant mill, blah, blah, blah. You'd have cars coming in that are full of the stuff, but whatever. The thing that we need to think about is what sort of commodities we have to play with, and then where is that coming from? So, we have this building here, we have this building here, which I'm moving down, and we have this building here. This one, I'm not sure about. This is a more modern building. I'm not entirely sure in what way to use it, but I do want it to be part of this complex. And of course we have this building here, which is going to be sort of its own thing. And I might even put that over here, but this area needs a couple of switches and a couple of industries, a couple of multiple industries. Again, I'm moving this all the way down here on purpose, because I'm going to move this all the way down to here. And the other thing is, I'm actually going to have this curve this way, because I'm not going to miss an opportunity to do something kind of goofy. I'm not going to have it actually meet up with the track, but I am going to have it do this. And you guys... And people should make the connection that, oh, maybe there was a connection here at one point. Makes sense, sort of. Anyway, so we've got this in place now. The other thing is we need to think about the entrance to this area. So, we have this warehouse, right? This one. And this needs to go somewhere. And this needs to go somewhere. This can fit here, but I don't like that because it's too close to the road. There isn't enough room for trucks to maneuver around it. The thing that I might do is push it this way, rotate it this way, and now suddenly we have the ability to have a front entrance here, trucks here, and trains over here. We just need an actual track that goes to it. So that's one of the first hurdles. Figuring out where these buildings go, and then once we figure out where the buildings go, figuring out how to attach stuff to them. How to attach the tracks to them, I should say. This guy, I'm not sure what I'm going to have him do. Oh, you know what? I know what I'm going to have you do. Come here. I keep grabbing the wrong damn thing. Come here. You're going to be useful over here. Not exactly where you are, but over there. Because we don't need that over here, that's for sure. So the first thing is going to be this. And this is going to go over here. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. It looks to me like there should be other things that are part of this module, but I don't have them, so oh well. Also, I just had a minor, out-of-body experience there for a second. That was kind of weird. I shook my head, and it felt like, oh, that's right, I'm me. I'm the person that's doing this. I'm making this video. That was really bizarre. I haven't even eaten Subway lately. So we're gonna move this road over here, the macadam roads. The other thing is, oh, you know what? I really want one without sidewalks. I guess we'll just have to live with that the way it is. One of the things I do want to do is I want to put a little spur in here since we have the room. This will help with our switching. If we're being smart, all the switches will be facing the same direction. Unfortunately, I don't think we're being smart. Especially with regard to this building here, because it really makes sense that we'd have the tracks coming that way. Either way, I think I'm going to move the building again. That's the wrong thing. Move the building again, like there, and then rotate it just a bit. And now we have a situation where it makes more sense to bring tracks in from this direction. At least marginally. We just have to shift this around until it makes more sense. But everybody stop screaming, I'll figure it out, I'll make it look good, don't worry. So shift this way, move this here. There we go. And then the other thing is I want to continue this track. I guess it's going to be one of these. Right there. Because this building will be sitting in the middle of the entryway. Just like it is. I actually really don't like that because it means you can't leave cars sitting here. So I think I'll change this mostly for the sake of the AI. Actually, no, you know what? We can put a derailleur in. Well, it means you can't leave cars sitting here, but if you swap them out if you switch them both out at the same time, it won't matter. The other thing, okay, I want a couple more buildings to put over here. Because right now, it looks but it could look much better. So, it's definitely not a shop that I want here. I want some sort of, those are hoists. Is there going to be, is there at any point going to be anything in the Uinta Railway thing that I could use as part of a large wool mill? I think the answer is no. But, you know, I'll look through stuff anyway. Let's see. I just skipped past all that stuff. Let's go down here. The thing that I really want, right? The thing that I want right now is some sort of administration-looking office for this complex. And these guys are not it. This could do for something. These are some offices or whatever. There are a million of these generic buildings too. If you'll notice, I only have a handful of them, and there are about 1,000 of them. We have all the truss bridges, we have some Conrail things. Let's see, we don't need the trucks, that's for sure. Trestle bench, stairs, trees. Samsonite, I was way off. I don't need this shopping plaza. I've found stuff like this before, and I'm trying to think of Atlantic Mills in Oneyville as sort of a basis for this, because there are a bunch of buildings, and some of them are kind of connected. Oh, you know what I can do? I can connect some buildings. Wrong thing. This is going to look silly, but I'm going to do it anyway. And now it's going to be like on top of the track. So let's move the track. Yeah. So that actually looks sort of better, even though it doesn't look good. Weird. Let's ignore the fact that that's a cotton mill and not a wool mill. Whatever. The other thing that I probably want... Oh, well, these have stacks, so that's fine. All the manufacturing is going on in there. They do receive coal, probably, so we need to have a place for that. And having a boiler house on its own might be another nice thing to put in here, despite the fact that, again, the buildings have their own chimneys. They probably have internal boiler houses and engines. Is there a really small... I don't know, we'll figure something out. Let's just keep going through here, looking at all the buildings. Haymarket Station? No. You know what? I know this is a 1970s thing, but let's put this at the entrance to the complex here. Right over here. Building, mill, building, mine. Oh man, all these are so friggin' generic. Building shop. Oh, so it's kind of, no, wrong kind of shop. Sintering plant. Not what I need here, but definitely looks very nice. The fact that the building is made of stone is not a narrow enough qualifier. Another building to stick in the back here. Let's just attach it to this building. Let's look and see if that went on right, which it did not. Yeah, smooshing buildings together is great. We don't need that. Here's all the Burma shave signs. What's underneath the Burma shave signs? So, okay, let's look at this. There's all these C&O things which really aren't what I need. That's something else. Canton Courthouse. We've got a bunch of cars. Car repair shop. That's way too modern. Car wash. I just really want something to put here. I just need something that goes here. It's definitely not that. Not this either. Although I'll have to use that at some point. Nope. Oh, crud. Well, I can't friggin' find what I'm looking for. Let's see. Let's just look up boiler. Where's the boiler works? We've got this, which is okay, but too small. This. That's a thing that I've used before. This will be like in the back, sort of towards the water. We'll need to flatten this area out a little bit more. The reason it's towards the water is the fact that it's probably drawing water from the river. Might even have its own pump. Oh yeah, that's a realistic switch. Also the fact that you have to actually get the track to it. Okay. I forgot about this thing. I hope this is something I can use. It looks very nice. What is this? Oh, right. That. We'll use that somewhere, probably. Okay, so there, we have our mill complex put together. I would kind of like a larger building to attach to this. But I'm not sure exactly what I would attach to it. Definitely not that, or that, or that. I just want some sort of larger building-ish. I should probably download the rest of these generic buildings, honestly. That's what I should be doing. Hold on, let me look through the Uinta stuff again. And I've got the hiccups now. I have the hiccups. It's gonna look ridiculous, but... Yes, it's a garage, but right now it's not a garage, it's a boiler house. Or engine house, or whatever. There are engines in there, is my point. A generator building, or whatever you want to call it. Those are some of the first buildings to fall into disrepair, too. Look at this. We've got all these gilsonite mines. I'm going to be using them probably all over the place. Up on the railroad there. Because I have them, so why not? Max section house. Yeah, so we will be using a lot of these Uinta things in different places, but not here. They don't belong here. So we got that squared away, now what? Oh, that's right. We're actually doing... Okay, here's what I gotta do, right? Here's what I gotta do. I have to start placing down the cars that represent how many car loads go to each place over the span of a day. And for that, the thing that I would really like to have is my spreadsheets, but as we know, the spreadsheets don't necessarily play nice with me running the game, so I might have to sort of wing it and use ones that I know I can use. One of the things, though, so one of the things that I know is scrap metal, and that is going to be going into here, into here specifically. So these things, right, are this crane setup, everything like that. This is a scrap metal. It's a metals recycling. It takes the scrap metal from the well, the shipbreaking operation, really, and brings it here. So we have at least like 2 carloads of scrap going in each day, if not more than that. Currently, the placeholder train has 3, I think. That's 1 from the scrapyard in Olive, and 2 from the shipbreaking yard in Mason's Landing. I think we're going to end up having more than that, because a lot of stuff from the area is going to be sent here first. But either way, I'll fill these guys up with scrap metal. Let's see, it's this. I always forget which is which. Let's see, max load is there, okay. So we've got that. What else can these guys carry? They can carry hot steel slabs, they can carry aluminum sheets, they can carry steel coils, they can carry round stock, flat stock, and I-beams, steel rods, and whatever this is, aluminum ingots. So the thing is, right, this is going to be mostly scrap metal. We've got iron pellets, garbage bulk, coking coal, and smelter waste, and limestone aggregate. A lot of these are fairly useful for processing. Iron pellets might be one of the outputs that we use. We do have to look at other things that we have here. So if we look at these gondolin, these 52-foot gondolin, these are relatively the same thing, but I think they might be jointed rail. We have bulk bricks, that's a new one. Coal, coking coal, and cleaner coal. Vet ballast, ballast, road ballast, track ballast, and ballast. We have all these different kind of gravels. We have limestone. We have a ton of different kinds of scrap metals, which I think might be our ticket with a lot of these things. Although, like I said, pretty sure these are jointed rail, so I can't use them. Either way, let's look at the different... you know what? Let's do that first. Let's look at the different gondolin we have and figure out which ones we can use, which ones we can't use. So we can't use the G26s. We knew that. We can't use these 52-foot ones. We knew that. We can't use the USRAC ones or the USRA ones. The things that we can use are the Woodchips gondola, the 50-foot Rutland gondola, which I just saw up here. What does this carry? Just wood chips, unfortunately. The DPR... Oh, no. No. Oh, God. Let's see how awful this thing actually is. That is awful. Oh, my God, though. I might have to ask somebody to reskin this. Because look at all these. So we've got a million different things here, although I can't use the ones at the very end, I don't think. A million different things here. Stone, sand, sand with gravel, brick, clay, cum, coke and coal, river stones, this kind of scrap. We've got all these things, iron ore. Oh, we've got even Gilpin gold ore. So these things really have everything. This is the kind of thing that I need reskinned. Because, oh god, it's bad. And then also we have sandstone, sand, scrapper. Okay. You can load 78,000 of these. Let's see. Okay. Guess I can't. Let's see what these all look like, though. Let's see. We've got lime sandstone, iron ore. Let's see what else we've got. We've got this kind of scrap metal. Okay. So we've got different kinds of scrap metal going on. This might be worthwhile, as much as I hate to admit it. If it can get reskinned, I'd be very happy. Gondola 50-foot PRR. Let's see. Okay, similar loads that we've seen before. Ash, crushed stone, potash, gravel, sand, coke, and coal, wood chips. Okay, so none of these are exactly what I need, so that's not what we're going to be using. The one just down from it might be something a little bit more useful. Let's see. Okay, look at all these. So we've got all sorts of pipes, all sorts of rails, rocks, sand, scrap, sheet metal, steel frames, and more. I can't use a lot of these from coming off the map. Strange thing. What's the... Hold on, I gotta see this. Strange thing. Okay, not that strange. Spools of cable, wood load, tarp load. So yeah, these are fairly simple with the fact that they, whatchamacallit? They're all just max load of 1. So this is a candidate for use, even though it's a little bit wonky. Okay, so what else have we got? Mill gondola, which we have those. Wood chip gondola. Okay, so that's really it. This might be our ticket. The thing that we need to be aware of, and the thing that'll probably help us the most, is something that I've come across already. It's the fact that there are multiple kinds of scrap metal. So we have this kind of scrap metal, which you'll notice has this icon. And you may also notice that there was another kind of scrap metal in one of the other gondolin that we looked at. Aside from the scrap metal load for gondola in here. There's this kind of scrap metal. There's also this kind of scrap. And I believe there's one more. Yeah, there's this kind of scrap metal. So, we have 3 different kinds of scrap metal to play with. And that, I think, is going to be our ticket, so to speak. Now we've got iron pellets. There was supposed to be a door on this. We've got iron pellets. I think that's going to be a half-decent output. And that's going to be basically magnetic scrap that's been cut way down. We have 3 different kinds of scrap metal. 1 is going in, and then let's say 2 are coming out. And then we have other things like aluminum bulk or flat stock or that sort of thing. This area is going to be handling a lot of the recycling, and then the aluminum is going to go, or the iron and the certain kinds of scrap metal, I suppose, are going to be going to the steel mill, where they're going to be, melted down, combined with new steel and reformed into whatever. And then they're going to be sent out again. Meanwhile, a lot of the other stuff is going to be either shipped directly to a consumer or sent to a different kind of processing facility. This is not a recycling plant, really. This is a purification plant. This is a separation of metals kind of plant. And I think that might be sort of our ticket. Now let's look at some hoppers real quick. So, I'm going to punch in hopper here. We do have a hell of a lot of them. But I have to go down to the installed from the DLS. Now we have the ACF covered hoppers, which we already know about. These guys do carry a whole lot, but I don't think what they carry is particularly helpful for us. They've got plaster, limestone aggregate, cement, soda ash, plastic granular, taconite pellets, I don't actually know what those are. And quartz sand, of course, which we know is extremely important and necessary for many things. But other than that, this isn't really that helpful. One of the things that we could have this place put out is just sand, or even garbage bulk, because that would sort of make sense. But the next thing down is the 2-bay air slide hopper Erie. So we're starting from the top. This is it. This is a similar thing. It might have the same, which it does. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. The next thing down is the 24 Gilded Co hopper, which we definitely don't need. And then these are too big. These are too big and too new. They also only carry organic products, which is not helpful to us. Get out of here. ACF Center Flow hopper, Reading and Northern. Also too new, also suffers the same problem. Aggregate hopper, Golden West. Let's take a look at this. It just has aggregate, which you can pass off as a lot of things, but let's be honest, it's a bunch of little rocks. BN ACF hopper, that's an oldie but a goodie. Let's see what that has in store. Oh wait, no, I was thinking of the other thing. Again, mostly stuff, but there's also cement in there. And phosphate fertilizer. Not that helpful. Chessie 4-bay hopper. That's why you keep this thing open. This is probably coal. There it is. It's just coal. Not helpful. CMUP 2-bay cylindrical hopper. Organics. And cement. Co-op bulk hopper. Let's just go down the list. We've got DPR grain goods hopper. So this is another Dragon's Pass Railroad thing. I'm sure it's going to look terrible, but it might have a million different things. Okay, it sort of does. What are these? Fertilizer, sand, I hate sand, gravel and sand, all these other things, engine sand, which is a nice thing to be able to transport, and a bauxite. Bauxite may definitely be useful in our future, but not right here. The EBT hoppers, all the Green Gorge hoppers, those are narrow gauge. H43 4-bay hoppers, I'm pretty sure those are the ones that I use every once in a while. Oh wait, no, it's this. And this has a lot of different things in it. So we have coking coal, M coal, which I'm not even sure what that is, M iron ore, M iron pellets, mineral, smelter waste, gravel and sand, M gravel, stone crushed, You know, if anybody has any ideas for what I should be doing here, feel free to put out thought in the comments. Then these, the H62R 4-bay hoppers, also have the same loads. Lots of different kinds of sand, too. I'm not against using placeholder commodities. So, let's see. Covered hopper, wood hopper, ore hopper. Actually, let me see the ore hopper for a second. Ore hopper BM loaded. What else can you fit? Coal and iron ore, and this is mineral. Okay. BPRR 4-bay hopper 1. What is this? Oh, it's built in. Oh, crap. Yeah, and a lot of the other ones are wood chip hoppers. Let's see what the BPRR ones are. Okay, just coal. Alright, so nothing there really helps us that much. I don't have a lot of great ideas, but I think using the different, different kinds of scrap metal and the iron pellets are something that we could do pretty well with. The scrap metal could probably be loaded in over here, 2 different kinds of scrap metal, and iron pellets put in through some sort of apparatus that'll attach to this building here. So that may be that for us. As for this right here, I don't know what I'm going to use this for, but we have room for a very large multiple industry here, and this could be something going in or it could be something going out. As for what that something is, I don't know. It's going to be something probably movable on forklifts and put into boxcars. So, yeah. So we have this scrap metal going in. Let's make sure we put the stuff over here. Fill this with iron pellets. I'm trying to make use out of these cars as much as possible. Obviously there are some things I can't avoid using. As for these, I think I'm going to not use these for now, but I will keep them here. These I think I will use again because they are so useful in terms of what's available, despite the fact that they're awful. I will put one of these down here and look for the other kind of scrap metal that's available. We have smelter waste, garbage bulk. That's the other kind of scrap metal right there. We also have hot steel slabs, general goods, aluminum sheets, all of these steel coils, all the I-beams and flat stock and round beams. Yeah. So, this may be the kind of thing that we have to use. We have to use this kind of scrap metal in one, the POA scrap metal. And I'm not sure what exactly this is going to be used for or shipped to or whatever. Good God, if somebody wants to reskin these, please say something. And then we have the other kind of scrap here. But this is I'm pretty sure this is a verified DLS asset. All these things are on the DLS. So we have 3 kinds of scrap now, and 1 kind of iron output. And then over here, God knows. In fact, what I'll do is I'll put down one of my most utilitous boxcars, which is the 40-foot boxcar that, this one. Nope, this one. Put it down over here. And we'll look at what is available for it real quick. Some of these I feel like I should know by heart, but these aren't really all that helpful then. So let's look at one of the other boxcars that we have. And Evan, I know you have a comment and I haven't gotten to it yet, so let's do that now. Evan Games says, so I went to the Amherst Model Railway Show and I probably saw your booth, but I didn't see what it was called. But I have one of the pamphlets with everything in it, and you guys were in the Young Building. Thank you. It was the Young Building. One, I'm working on building a route. First of all, I'd like to say I wish we had had that interaction like a week earlier so I could have met you there at the show, because that would have been really cool. Anyway, one, I'm working on building a route in Tane. I'm sure you saw me post a picture of the Skype group. I did. Are there any assets that you would suggest for a transition era route? Every single one on this route. Because they're all in the DLS, and they all pretty much fit the era. So, that's my answer to that question. Thank you. Moving right along. The AAR boxcars are the ones that I think are going to be good for me, right? No. Automobile. Invisible automobile. Not what I need. This is one of them. This is a boxcar. This has some cool stuff in it. Lumber. All different kinds of lumber. Tons of lumber. IKEA pallet of stock feed bags, cement bags, farm equipment, automobile engine, auto parts, hay bales. I might have to ship out like automobile engines to a place that actually really breaks the stuff down, and that'll just represent, you know, huge pieces of metal that they couldn't get rid of. 2. What's your favorite PRR locomotive? I don't want to sound biased by picking the T1, but I think I'm going to pick the T1. So there are a lot to choose from there. I like a lot of different PRR engines for a lot of different reasons. One of them being the duplex designs were fairly unique. They weren't really used by any other railroad, at least not, you know, certainly not as commonly. And that, you know, that, like I said, makes them very unique and special. The Q2 having the highest horsepower ever static tested is a big deal. At least I think so. And that, you know, that makes me think, oh, really cool. And I agree with myself, it is really cool. But the T1's having that beautiful streamlining, etc., I don't know, it all just makes me very happy. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the little engines like Penny. 1225, or 1223, sorry, is an adorable, adorable engine, and I wish I could have seen that little girl run, basically. I've seen her on display in the museum there at, you know, across the street from Strasbourg. And she's gorgeous. I love it, she's gorgeous. Aside from that, what else? I don't think a lot of the other ones are really all that visually attractive or visually appealing. Yes, they're very attractive. No, but I don't think they're all that visually appealing, I should say. The proportions are a little bit strange, but one of the engines that I do like a lot is the I-1. Not just because it has a pair of tits, although that helps. The thing about that makes it particularly special is the fact that it's this huge and oversized decapod. Now, it's worth pointing out that I derive a lot of entertainment from when things are really out of whack. And that's why I love my Zion, not my Zion and Skyline, but my New Shoreham Tramway logo so much. Because it's just kind of weird, you know? And having a decapod that's that big and that bizarre, just from the fact that it rode terribly, but it was just ridiculously powerful, and yada yada yada, it's cool. You know, I quite like it. But you know, I think a lot of their engines were particularly iconic, but it's the I-1s, the duplexes, particularly the Q2, and the T1 and the S1. Q1 is not something to discuss. Oh, whoops, that's navigation. Crap. I lost my train of thought, but it's in there. I very much like those engines. I'm not certain if the T1 is my favorite, period, but it's definitely up there. Anyway, what's my favorite New York Central locomotive? Alright, well, I'm not as versed in the New York Central roster as I am with the PRR's roster. I'm fairly well acquainted with the PRR's entire roster. But what I do like, obviously, as you might expect, are the beautiful J-class Hudsons, the J1s through the J3s, the streamlining on those is gorgeous. Of course, it rivals the it rivals the T1s in terms of beauty and elegance. I know they're anemic though, so that sort of takes it away. I do have respect for the Niagaras being as powerful of Northlings as they were. Yeah, I don't know what to put here, guys. I don't know what to use this track for. Maybe many different things, right? Favorite though. You know what? I'm gonna go with the meme answer. My favorite New York Central locomotive is the New York Central Shay. The New York Central box cab Shays that would run in New York City before the prohibition of steam. And yeah, just because they're unique and they're special and they make me happy because of that. They're just so goofy. It's so stupid. And I love it. Nonetheless, you know. You can look those up. They really are great. Somebody's calling somebody. I cannot answer that. Not that I really would have. Boink. Okay, how much time do we have left? Okay, like 25 minutes. Did you know that the UP Big Boy 4005 had an accident in 1953? Actually, you know, it's funny you mention that because I looked that up the other day. I was looking for a picture of it because we were making jokes about the stuff that can happen when you're on the road, so to speak, with a locomotive. And again, mostly because we were talking about running the Big Boy, and partly because of a rumor, which is completely unsubstantiated, so I don't want to propagate it. I'm saying that now. You know, it's a pet peeve of mine when somebody says something, when somebody like purports something but they don't actually believe it, so they're just repeating something that somebody else has said that they don't actually think is real or right, but they're still parroting it, they're still spreading it. You know, and then you go, well, what the hell? That's stupid. And they go, well, I don't think that. You know, that isn't me saying that. That was this other person that I talked to. That was, you know, those were their words. It's like, well, why are you repeating their words if you don't agree with them? You know, you got to give that disclaimer, or else somebody's going to think that you do agree with them because you're repeating what they said. Anyway, disclaimer: I don't agree with this. I'm fairly certain it's complete bogus. There was a rumor floating around about the restoration of the cab forward. And, again, we'll reiterate, so far as I can tell, total bogus. Comes out of nowhere. No backing for that whatsoever. It's not going to happen. But we were talking in the group about the pros and cons of bringing an engine like that back into service. And the thing that has to do with, right, and how that has to do with 4005's crash is the fact that, you know, we were sort of discussing what can happen when you're out on the road. The thing that we always bring up now, because it's a meme, because Skookum is a 12-wheeled meme machine, to quote the great Jacob Durbin, or Dur of J, or Ethnic Bob Ross, as I sometimes like to call him. Things can happen when you're running, whether it be on a test run or a regular run or whatever, or you can have things that get in the way of your schedule. But that's, you know, that's neither here nor there. I'm talking about things that could actually happen to the locomotive on a run. You know, breakdowns, etc. Breakdowns, derailments. You know, these are things that locomotives are not immune to, even if they're just restored from a museum and they're being taken on, you know, 2-mile drives up and down the Strasbourg branch. It's not something that you can ever really get away from. There's always the off chance that even if you kept your track in immaculate condition, even if the engine is up to snuff, something can go wrong and you might end up on the ground, or you might end up with a broken part. And there's, you know, there is nothing that says it one way or the other. There's no definitive anything on that. You can do everything right and still get it wrong. Sounds like college. But no, you can. A great man once said, "You can get everything right, and you can do everything right and still lose. That is not weakness. That is life." And to that end, or to the point, you can do everything right when you restore a locomotive, and there's still the off chance that something's going to happen when you do it. When ideally, if you do something right, nothing will break. But you don't get to decide that necessarily. Stuff still happens. Best laid plans, So we were going back and forth about that, and again, I was just like, yeah, or they're going to bring the big boy out, and this is going to happen. And I went to go grab the picture of 4005. But by the time I had actually looked it up, I got distracted with something, and then we got off topic on a different, we started talking about something else. I never got the chance to drop it in and laugh about this disaster that happened many, many years ago. Because the statute of limitations is up on that, you can make jokes about it now, But the thing that I'm trying to get to is that, yeah, I did know. I did know that. I didn't know which number it was, but I knew that there was a big boy that had a big crash. And, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, etc., etc. Yeah, it was a hell of a wreck. And, correct me if I'm wrong, that engine's still around, isn't it? I can't recall, but it might be. A lot of big boys survive, which is really kind of impressive. A lot of these big engines, they didn't survive all that long. The Union Pacific, again, here we go with the Union Pacific. The Union Pacific really does love its heritage, because it's the only railroad left that really has any. At least, long standing heritage. There are, all the other railroads are created from mergers and this, that, and the other, and they've lost the identity that they had once, and because of that, they feel less connected to that. I mean, Norfolk Southern has its heritage units. I can't knock them for that. They have definitely done a good job of trying to show off the fact that they still respect and care for their heritage. CSX has their things. And BNSF, right, I'm turning into Milky now. Royal Northern Santa Fe just doesn't repaint things, so you get to see its heritage all the time. I think they inherited that from actually that was the SP. They didn't inherit the SP. SPSF is something different. So, yeah, I mean, they never repaint anything. And they seem to care for, well, they love borrowing 4449 for things. That's for sure. So, yeah, that's worth pointing out. I apologize if I disappear or I have to cut the episode short or whatever. Addison's coming around in just a moment. And actually, I do have to run upstairs for one thing before then. And then we will continue with our adventure here, because I have one more piece of question left. So, stay tuned. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I'm back. The last piece of the last question reads as follows. What was your favorite part of the Amherst Model Railway Show? That is a really hard question to answer. I talk about this on the Terminus a little bit, but I did a lot while I was there. So my favorite part might not be any specific thing. but it probably has more to do with just the interacting with people and the finding stuff out, and they're, talking to the 3713 guys about 3713, and talking to the the Conway Scenic guys about 7470, and talking to the COG people about their endeavors and about steampunk and all that jazz. I am excited for all these things, and the thing that I like hearing most is the people that are working on them talk about what their next big plans are. I am a huge fan of all the layouts, but a modular layout, no matter how big and beautiful a modular layout may be, a modular layout does not stack up to a in-place layout, and I am spoiled with the Providence Northern and the NEB&W, which is having its last operating session in its current location in about a week. It's the Saturday the 16th. Come here. Hi, lovely.
Hi.
Talking about the model train show. What was your favorite part?
The first people we talked to before we went back to the booth.
Which people?
People in the blue.
All in the blue. I don't remember. I don't remember who was wearing blue.
You had been there before.
I've been there before.
With the 2-foot gauge.
Oh, okay. When we went to the main narrow gauge. Okay, yeah. Or not the. We went to the WWF booth. That was one of the first things that we went to when we got there. Yeah, I was.
Main narrow gauge, number 7.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, that's right. That's right. We were all the way in the other building. We were at the main narrow gauge booth. We were back to that giant drawbridge, which we never got to go back and see, which is kind of a shame. But I'm sure it'll be there next year. It was there last year, and yeah. So that was actually really cool. Coordinating or seeing the different perspectives on what was going on with all the main narrow gauge railroads from all the different main narrow gauge railroads. I went originally to the Sandy River and Rangeley Lakes. I asked them how they were doing. They said the main narrow gauge was in trouble. I went to the main narrow gauge, talked to them for a while about how they were doing and what their plan was, and their move to the WWF, well, not move to, but their equipment, some of their equipment going to the WWF on, I guess you could call it on loan, and then I went to talk to the WWF about that exact thing from their point of view, and the thing that excited me most about that whole situation is the fact that beautiful, beautiful parlor car Rangeley, a Jackson and Sharp 2-foot coach with, again, I can't stress enough how gorgeous that thing is, which I have only seen behind a pane of plexiglass at the museum in Portland. They might get to run it, and that's exciting. I would pay good money to ride that thing. I bet the seats are super comfy. They sure as hell look it. So, oops, didn't want to put that there. I want to grab this, go back to the brick stuff. Need a smaller brick house to put over here. There we go. Alright, that's one more block of houses done. That's nice. We are underway with this area. I think I might need more of these. But this is certainly coming along. It's a lot denser than Olive was. So that's great. Anyway, the last thing is... Oh, Evan Games just wrapped up his comment by saying, I'm from New Hampshire. I love New Hampshire, first of all. And I love it because of the COG and because of the Conway Scenic.
I like it because of Fun Spot.
She likes Fun Spot. If you're around there... I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm just saying the places are cool. Check them out. I'm sure you have if you live up that way. If you haven't been up the mountain by, for whatever reason, absolutely do it. I've been up the mountain 3 times. I've been up by steam power twice and foot power once. Hiking up Mount Washington was absolutely the experience of a lifetime, and I probably won't do it again. Because it was fantastic, but I am not in that kind of shape. And I didn't even have great, like, shoes or anything for it. I was not prepared. I was not prepared. Yeah. The email that my company sent out, because it was a company event, the email that got sent out made it seem like, oh, anyone can do it. It's just like walking up a hill. Well, I guess anyone could do it, but I could only do it with some difficulty. And, again, I didn't have the right shoes. I didn't have, like, a water bottle. I had a tumbler, which is like an open-top cup with a straw. I had two of them, actually. And I sucked down one so that by the time I got up to the part where you've got to hoist yourself up with your hands, I was only, I didn't have a cup in each hand. And so then I was scaling rocks with one hand, and the people I was hiking with they nicknamed me the One-Handed Wonder, which was a fantastic ego boost for me and not something that I needed. I didn't fall down and die, though, which is nice considering I was wearing sneakers.
You died.
Really? Actually, no. I'm making this video from beyond the grave, and I'm really scared about the next Ghostbusters coming out, because they might come and get me. Also, for those who don't know, there's another Ghostbusters coming around. I'm disappointed that there was not a Super Bowl ad for it, because I wanted to see one. There was a very short teaser out there, which has got the music, not the theme song, but the same music from Ghostbusters, and the Ecto-1, which is one of my favorite cars in all of fiction. That's their wagon. I love wagons, as you guys probably know by this point. You
also like trains.
I do like trains. That's why I'm building this stupid thing. That's why I'm spending my life sitting in front of this computer, placing down house after house, trying to make a reasonable-looking town.
Just like the guy, the biggie.
Yeah. Except...
He was playing. He was running.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. No, he wasn't placing houses. There was... I totally forgot about this. At the Mass Bay Railroad Enthusiast booth, there was a guy playing trains. And I think he was in Tane. I'm pretty sure he was in Tane. He was running the 20th Century Limited from K&L. I don't know... Oh, he was on that new route. That new,
You said you wanted to download.
third-party route. Yeah, it's like the B&P. I can't remember the name of it, but I need to go get it. Yeah, so that's... Yeah. It was kind of bizarre. I was looking at something else. I was looking at these cool dioramas, and I was reading whatever, and TJ and Madison sort of walk away, and I was like, alright, I went over to that booth already, let me see or come and get me if they tell you anything really cool. And he was like, well, they're playing trains. And I was like, I gotta go see this. So then we went over there, we chatted him about trains for a little while, and I should have plugged Tollbrand. I should have plugged Under Construction, been like, you should watch my channel. I totally did that in a, I mentioned this already, but there was a Reddit thread where somebody was looking for good content for trains, and I plugged this series, and Tollbrand in general. I was like, you can download this great map, it's called Tollbrand. Also, I'm going to swap these houses, because currently these guys have dormers that just point at the neighbor's house. There you go. Now your windows actually serve a function. Now you can look at these neighbors. Yeah, I need to fill out this whole area. This is a son of a gun. This is what I don't miss from Olive. I'm glad that we've got done as much as we have.
That's too many houses.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. Houses get crammed in these areas. Think about where I used to live.
True.
Yeah. And also, we've got these hills around here, so there's not a lot of real estate to go around. In fact, most of the houses should be bigger than this. They should be like 3-family Victorian houses, that sort of thing. I just don't have any of those on hand. I might go download some later if I can find them and use them. But my other alternative is using these things, which are cool, but I only have 4 of them, and they're all just different colors. They aren't different at all otherwise. So they're sort of like company housing, which would be fine because you've got this giant woolen mill right here. But I'm just trying to get this area all squished together. The thing that's going to come up later, I mentioned it to the viewers already, is putting in driveways. Because I need room for that, and I didn't really leave room. Although a lot of these houses, they might not have been designed or built with driveways because they'd be built back before most people owned cars. And this place has pretty damn good public transit anyway, so what does it really matter? That's the stupid girder bridge again. I don't know why I downloaded a bridge that's in multiple pieces. I'm never going to spend the time to put that thing together. For the most part, I will never bother to put together an asset that's in multiple pieces, especially if I have to find them. Well, ignore the fact that there's water texture here. This is Tane going crazy on me.
It's not supposed to.
No, yeah, it drew a grid with the water texture. The water that I'm gonna have is actually all already here. See, these are the two rivers, and then this river heads all the way back down to the ocean.
Oh, so light blue doesn't exist.
Yeah, the light blue was just me marking stuff out ahead of time, and then for whatever reason, Tane decided that it was going to draw a grid using light blue. I didn't make it do that. I didn't ask for it to do that. In other places, it's different colors. Whatever texture was available nearby, they just used to draw the edges of the grid squares. Because these are all, if you look where those are, yeah. Hi. Yeah. Okay, one more thing, right? Before I go down this rabbit hole too much further, we still need to figure out a building for over here. But the thing that's on my mind right now is what's back down here. Now, Icer is working on a route where he's been using, and this is his test route, his model railroad his test route turned model railroad, where he's been using TRC. I'm not at all familiar with TRC. I don't even know what it stands for. I don't know what ATLS stands for either, but at least I know how to use it. So, this is a fairly complicated ATLS crossing because I've got the tram things here, the tram tracks that cross the railroad tracks, and these, like I brought up in a previous episode, are tram stoppers. They basically function as signals that are tied to the railroad crossing, so when a train is coming and trips that, where is it? This trigger all the way down here, the gates will go down, these invisible signals will turn red, and it'll keep the trams from crashing through the gates and getting hit by a train. Because
what is the box?
This is an interlocking tower.
It's a cardboard box.
It is. It really doesn't look like anything, but that's good because it's invisible when you're in the session. When you're actually playing the game.
Yeah, it looks like someone delivered a package to the middle of nowhere.
I know. A lot of these things look completely
those
stupid.
Look like traffic cones.
Yep.
And the cars and trucks went right through them.
Well, yeah, because they don't exist. These are invisible signals. These are invisible traffic stoppers, which stop traffic.
Why are they invisible?
Because you want to look at that? You want to look at that when you're trying to drive? I don't. This is all invisible. All this does is make it so that the cars and trams stop at the railroad crossing when a train is coming.
Okay.
You'd think that would be simpler than this, but it's not. Especially when you get the trams involved. In fact, it's complicated.
You gotta run over the traffic cones in order to get to the block of candy canes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, when there is not a train, cars are able to drive through these traffic stoppers, and trams are able to drive through these tram stoppers, hypothetically. And these signals function just like normal signals. They're normal signals, they're just invisible.
So how do you see when they light up?
You don't need to. You don't need to, because if you're following another tram that closely, there's a problem. It's just the reason there are some.
Why do you have signals there if they're invisible?
So that the AI doesn't crash into another AI. They're not for the humans. They're not for people driving trams. They're for the computer driving trams. The computer needs more instructions than people do, at least in this case. So
they need the package to deliver the candy canes and traffic cones. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, all the stuff's invisible.
Sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's fine. All this stuff is invisible during the normal session except for the crossing gates themselves, which are the parts that you actually care about. The triggers are invisible, the box is invisible, the plus sign's invisible, the candy canes are invisible. Everything's... Yeah, I'm just going to start using these monikers now because it's easier than saying ATLS traffic stopper.
Hey, I did something good.
Unfortunately, I can't get the damn thing to work. Because, hypothetically, these are supposed to be... they're supposed to let trams through if there's not a train coming. Currently, they don't let trams through at all. So, kind of a minor issue, if you think about it. Because the trams just pull up to the thing and they stop, and they don't ever go any further. So I need to troubleshoot this more. It's a pain in the neck. But fortunately, I found a thing online, the guy who made all these. Let's see, what's his name? Down here. Boats, Trains. You can look up his website, and he has tons of tutorials on how to use this stuff. They're all PDFs, but that's fine. You read at your own pace. If you guys would like me to do a crossing on air, which I probably will have to do eventually, but a more complicated crossing on air and sort of go through it, once I figure out how to do this, I totally can. Just say something. Anyway, once again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you would like to help with the Great Tollbridge Reskin project or the route in any way, let me know. Post a comment, hit me up on Skype. You guys know where to find me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Trainman out.